What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla spying the overall markets. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward and how Tesla's looking so far in terms of its share price. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, what do I see for the share prices so far? The answer is if you go back to Tesla and you actually zoom all the way out, there's a trend line that's been helping Tesla hold up for many, many months. Okay. So far, this blue trend line at the bottom is what Tesla's support is. And this helped Tesla bounce right before this critical support, which is where the cup and handle breakout was, and also very close to our 200 EMA in the 360s. So Tesla held support before hitting those levels, and for now, it's looking like it's trying to reverse here. So there's a very, very good chance it's going to try to continue this, looking at what the market's about to do. And I'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes as we're looking a bit more bullish. But just know this, Tesla is known for being one of the hottest large caps right now, according to reports. Why do I say that? It's because 2025 is going to be a big year. I know there's going to be a lot of fears about, inflation coming back up, the Fed not cutting as much and this and that, but there's also going to be a lot of hype involving AI, robotics, and the development of these new technologies like full self-driving technology. I think that autonomous driving is going to be massive, and I think there's going to be a lot of hype that still continues, especially as analysts remain a lot more bullish on Tesla. And I still think there's going to be a lot of upside potential for Tesla nonetheless. So, will there be moments for the year where Tesla has downside moves, excuse me, and the same thing for the markets? Sure, right? There's going to be those moments we get those dips, but ultimately, I still think the bulls have a lot of potential to continue to push a lot of these stocks up. Now, I also want to say that Elon Musk has donated about $108 million in Tesla shares to unnamed charities, according to filing reports. That is good news, at least for many of those charities. We don't know which ones they are, and I just want to say that this could be for tax purposes because he did this right before the year ended. But at the end of the day, hopefully this does benefit someone other than himself. Hopefully this benefits the world in some way. I just want to say I appreciate Elon Musk for his contributions. Many people have different opinions. Think whatever you want of him, completely fine with me. But at the end of the day, we have to appreciate what Elon Musk does. He's done a lot for Tesla and the entire Tesla team. He's done a lot for humanity, and you have to give him the credit that he deserves. So, with that being said, yes, he may say contentious things. He may be all over the place, completely understandable. But at the end of the day, he is a big innovator and he deserves a lot of respect. And uh, I still hold that same view. Anyways, going back, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq were dumping quite a bit as we started 2025, but on Friday we saw a lot of buyers step in because a lot of shorts were piling in, and this is a sign that the market may see a temporary bounce reversal. We may see the market try to bounce a little bit longer before we see another resistance to be tested, and we'll have to see what happens from there. Going into tomorrow, just know that it's going to be Monday, January 6th, 2025 at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 15 minutes after the market opens. We have the S&P Global Composites and Services PMI reports. And then at 11:30 a.m., we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions. Look for volatility at 9:45 a.m. That's going to be very important, so wait for that and watch and see what that leads to. Besides that, for the markets, the fear and greed index is currently at fear. This was very close to extreme fear. I think it actually reached it on Thursday after the market dumped. And you guys can see as soon as we hit the extremes, we saw the market get bought back up. So we were at extreme fear, then the market got bought back up as a result of that. When we hit extremes, that's what tends to happen. Momentum was at extreme fear way down here on Thursday, and then we saw buyers come back on a Friday, which helped the market go back to fear. So right now, momentum is just at fear. It might get closer to neutral as buyers continue to step in. I think there's a very, very good chance that's going to be the case. Looking at other setups, just know that the put to call option ratio is not really working in favor of the majority of options holders because a lot of people were buying shorts and the market ended up pumping. A lot of people started to short the market again. We started to see the ratio going up to fear. And as soon as that happened, the market saw a mini squeeze. So as people are starting to short the markets, okay, when they start shorting more and more, the market makers play their games and they start pumping the market back up to squeeze those shorts. Also, the VIX is now below its 50 daily moving average around I think it's around the 16 area, the 16.6 area. So that's a sign that if anything, there's weakness on the VIX. We have some gaps to fill below, which could be favoring that the market's going to push higher. So I find that to be the most likely case. Last thing is earnings. There's nothing too significant for the week. We do have Jeffries on Wednesday. Then we have Delta Airlines on Friday. But things become very, very serious once we get big bank earnings next week. So we have to wait one more week. Then the big big tech earnings, big bank earnings are going to be starting very soon. Anyways, what do I see for Tesla and the others? What is my big opinion? The 4-hour PPO is looking a bit more bullish as we're holding support. We held this key trend line bouncing right before hitting our 360 support, so it did better than even what I was thinking, but that's okay. We did call out this upside move later on into my videos on Friday, and for now, I do favor upside. I also want to say that we have our 50 EMA at 418 as our resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for 420, 425, and eventually the 428s to 430 area. If we lose support at 410, we're looking for essentially 402 as our main support. If that fails us, we'll be dumping all the way back down towards 394 or below. So just keep that in mind. On the daily time frame, I also want to say that when you look at the daily, Tesla's trying to rebound here. We have a bullish looking daily candlestick as long as we're above 410, and we're looking for attempts to get back up to gap support at 423 and the gap fill for 430 all the way back up there. So I'm favoring looking at the daily chart and considering the 4-hour and the fact that the whole market is trying to bounce. I think the odds are favoring Tesla continues to push for 418. If we could hold above that, we're looking for the low 420s, 420 to 422. Then 425 to be our potential targets. And then we have that gap fill towards 430. I favor at least 420 tomorrow. I think we're going to be pushing to at least the 420s. I think there's a good chance we continue this push. So Tesla looks like it's going to try to go for a temporary bounce. I find that to be the most likely possibility looking at this chart. For others out there, we happen to have SPY and ES. Looking at SPY, we look a bit more bullish. As long as we don't lose 591.42, we're looking for an attempt to get up to 593.5. I do want to say that SPY and ES have left shoulders, heads, and right shoulders, but there's no guarantee we just crash forever just because of that. So we could always do a thing like this where we try to like push. We could hit like resistance at 593.5, 595, and 598, and then we could reject, and then the head and shoulders could still pan out. But if we break 598, we're looking for essentially 602 and above, all over back up to all-time highs. So just keep that in mind, guys. That's the most likely possibility. I favor on SPY. We're going to try to push higher as long as we don't lose 591.4 to get back up to 593.5, 595, and 598. So watch those levels very, very closely. If we lose support at 590, we're going to be looking for a dip back down to 588 and 585. Overall, we look a bit more bullish on the 4 hours, so I favor that there could be a double bottom here, and we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 593.5 and then 595. I think those are the bare minimum targets. I think we might go even higher than that to about 598, but then we'll see if we reject off this trend line or not, so watch that very closely. I favor upside as the most likely possibility for tomorrow, so watch that very closely just to see. ES looks a bit more bullish, but we're testing a tough resistance at 59.95. Although there's this left shoulder, head, and a right shoulder, there could be a temporary move up before it tries to reject again if that ends up being the case. But if we break this high where the right shoulder is, we're going to be looking for an attempt to get back up to all-time highs. I favor 59.95 and eventually closer to 6,000 as our targets. I think we could be trying to surpass 6,000, so watch and see if that ends up being the case. Overall, we're doing a fantastic job, so I think we're doing quite well. For Nvidia, we look a bit more bullish. We have done a good job so far at this range being maintained. And just know that we have a potential left shoulder here, a head, and then a right shoulder. As long as we don't lose 144, we're favoring a move back up to about 146.5. And if that breaks, we're looking for 148. If we lose 144, we're looking for a dip back down to 142. But I'm favoring the 146s and eventually 148s as our targets as we look more bullish on Nvidia's 4 hours. So I think we look a bit more bullish. I think there's a good chance we try to continue to push. For Bitcoin, we look a bit more bullish looking at this cup and handle. I think there's a good chance that we try to hold above 97,500 and start pushing for 99,000. And if we break that, we're looking for 100,000 as our next potential target. So look for 100,000. I think there's a good chance we try to push here, and I think we're doing fantastic, at least thus far. So hopefully this continues, and then we'll see how things end up going heading into tomorrow. But I favor that this is going to be pushing closer to 100,000, so watch and see how we end up going from here. For others out there, we have NQ. NQ is looking a bit more bullish. We're looking for resistance at 21,546. If we break that, we're looking for 21,700. And if we lose support, we're looking for 21,400. Might be a small dip here before it tries to bounce for 21,400 as the most likely possibility. As long as we break resistance, I'm going to be looking for an attempt to continue. For the QQQ, we look a bit more bullish as long as we don't end up losing 517. We're looking for 519.8 as our target, eventually back up to about 523. If that breaks, we're looking for 525 and above. I think so far we have potential. We'll have to see if we break 520. As long as 517 does not break, I think we favor a push for 520, 523, then eventually back up towards our gap fills and a move to the upside. Also on the QQQ, the 4 hour looks bullish, but we also have these gaps to fill. There's a big one right here starting to fill around 523. Another one back up to about 528. I'm not counting on 528 yet. I'm going to be focusing on 523 and 525 for now, and we'll see if we break those to get up to 528. But so far, we look a bit more bullish, and I'm favoring the 520s for the QQQ, especially 523. Now, Apple has been dipping quite a bit, but just know this about Apple. We're at support right over here. We had a rising wedge, which led to this big rejection, and now we're trying to hold support around 242-ish. So as long as we hold that, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to about 244, then 246. So let's see if we hold support and we don't lose 240. I think the odds do favor that so far. So that being said, guys, I think that looking at the charts, Tesla looks a bit more bullish to me. We're trying to bounce here on a nice bullish cross in the PPO, and we're looking for a test of 418 very soon, which if we break, we're going to be going into the 420s, such as 422 and 425. I think Tesla could be going all the way up to 425 very soon. So I favor upside a bit more. I think Tesla goes into the 420s most likely for tomorrow, and then we'll see if that continues. With that being said, I'm going to talk about the rest of these tickers and try to be kind of quick, so just bear with me in case I talk kind of fast. For in Nio, we have a double bottom right over here. As long as we don't lose 4.5, we're looking for 4.8 as our target. I'm hoping we break this to get back up to 5. There is a potential double bottom on the charts. This looks like a nice accumulation, so I'm hoping we hold above 4.8. For Netflix, we're looking a little bit weaker here. I do want to mention that we're trying to hold support at 880. We got to hold this on Netflix. If we don't hold this, we dump back down to about 875. And if we hold this, we could attempt to bounce back up to about 890. So I favor that this is going to try to hold support and then try to rebound here back up to about 890, and we'll have to see how things end up going. For what is this? Super micro, sorry, not super micro, MicroStrategy. Sorry about that, guys. Um, MicroStrategy is looking a bit more bullish. I mean, we're holding above our 4-hour 50 EMA, and it's also up 13% for the day, at least from Friday. So likely momentum is going to continue. As long as we don't lose 336 and then 330, we're favoring a push for essentially 350. So I think this looks a bit more bullish, and we're doing a fantastic job so far. For Celsius, as long as we don't end up losing 27.5, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 29.5 to 30. So overall, I think we're doing a great job, and I think we favor upside for essentially 29.5 to 30. So I think we're doing a good job on Celsius, and we're fantastic so far. For Supermicro, we look a bit more bullish. As long as we don't end up losing 32.7, we're looking for an attempt to get back up towards 35. If we lose 32.7, we're looking for a dip back down, but I think this is favoring that it wants to continue. Might retest 32 and bounce for 35. We have a nice double bottom here, and I think we're doing a good job, at least so far. For Palantir, we look a little bit more bullish. As long as we don't end up losing 78, we're favoring a push for 80 and eventually 82. So overall, I think we're doing a good job. Palantir looks a bit more bullish. Look for an attempt to get back up to about 82, and we'll have to see how things end up going from here. For Rivian, we look a bit more bullish. I think that we're holding very, very nicely so far. Typically, when you get big days like 20% days, there's going to be more upside remaining. So this is going to slowly try to push up for about the 17s, in my opinion. As long as we hold above that, we're looking for 17.5. As long as we don't lose like 16 to dip back down to about 15.5, we favor 17 plus, and I think we're doing a good job. SoFi is looking a bit more bullish. I want to see us try to hold above at least 14.5 to push up for 15.1. Overall, I see potential in this, so give this some time to develop. The Russell has resistance at 224.75. If we break that, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to about 226. I just don't want to see us lose 222 to push, so I think we favor 226. For AMD, we look a bit more bullish as long as we don't lose 124.7. I think we favor a push back up to 127. If we lose 124.7, we're dipping back down to 123. But I favor, a better push for the 127 is the most likely case. ARM looks a bit more bullish as long as we don't lose 137. We're favoring a push for 142.5. So I think we're doing a good job at least thus far. For Coinbase, we are trying to push even higher back up towards 274. So I think this looks a bit more bullish. If we break that, we're looking for essentially 280. So look for an attempt to test 274 very, very soon. For others, we have Amazon. Now, Amazon's holding up decently. I need to see it hold 222.9 and 223.5, those ranges right there. As long as we hold this, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 226, which is where this imbalance is. So this is favoring 226 plus. If we lose 222.93, we could be dumping back down to fill this gap at 220. But I'm favoring with this nice accumulation right here that we push up for the 226.5 plus area. So it looks like there's going to be a temporary push on Amazon. Just know one thing about Amazon I forgot to mention. We're technically on a downtrend. So even if we had a pump here, we came down, and another pump came down, we could be forming another pump, and we'll have to be watching resistance to see if we could break 226 or not. If that breaks, we might be revisiting this high up here, and that could be a good sign for Amazon. For Meta, we're looking pretty good. This could be like a double bottom, but I need to see us hold above 600 and 598. As long as you hold that, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 610 and eventually 615. So watch to see if that ends up being the case. Let's see if we hold support. From Microsoft, we look a bit more bullish. We're looking for 425 is our resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for 428. If you reject it, we're going to be coming back down. But I favor upside for 428 plus is the most likely possibility. Google's doing a good job despite the head and shoulders, just looking a bit more bullish as long as you don't lose 192. We are favoring a push for 195 plus, as I think we're building a lot more momentum. For others out there, we have GameStop. As long as GameStop does not lose 31.4, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 33. I think this might try to push a little bit higher. AMC, as long as we don't lose 4.02, we're looking for an attempt for 4.1. So we'll just have to see how that goes. DJT or the dollar, sorry, not the dollar. DJT is trying to push for 35, but the problem is there's this head and shoulders, so we got to reclaim 35 to balance for 36. If we don't reclaim 35, we're going to be dumping back down to 33. So look for a test of 35. We got to hold above it, and we'll see how well we end up doing. The VIX looks a bit more bearish. We have these gaps to fill. It does look like it's going to be dumping towards the 14s because the market looks like it has more upside potential. The 10-year is going to be reacting to CPI and FOMC. It's not really affecting the market as much as it did before, so just wait for that. The dollar has been dipping a bit, so it looks a little bit more bearish here. It looks like it's going to be dipping to about 108.75, which tends to be a bullish sign for the markets. With that being said, guys, that is it for my video. I want to thank you all so much for listening. Tesla has a lot of upside potential, so does SPY and many others, but watch for confirmation. I want to see Tesla hold 410. If we hypothetically lose 410, look at 402 as our main support, and also 400 flat is like a psychological level. I hope that Tesla holds above 410 to push for 418, then eventually like 420, 425 and above. I think I favor that looking at the chart and such, so we'll just have to see how it goes. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening to my videos. I really appreciate you guys so much for everything that you guys do, leaving all your kind comments and always wishing me the best. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Please enjoy the rest of Sunday. Enjoy some football and have fun or whatever it is that you guys have to do. And I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully before market open, most likely before the market opens. I'll be back as I typically am. Going to give you guys like a pre-market analysis, and let's hope that the market continues to hold these levels. Always remember the market's very tricky, so even when you think the market's about to crash, they could always try to squeeze shorts. The market's full of manipulation, so you have to remember that at least as time goes on. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow, so have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.